ever posted? Hi there, folks. Have you ever hosted your own movie premiere? Hi there, folks. Have you ever hosted your own movie premiere? Well, I did in a small Utah town. And there's one thing that makes me laugh every time I think about it in organizing this event. Stick around and I'll tell you all about it. In today's episode, we talk about the film premiere that I hosted in Logan, Utah. And then we also talk about my chaotic move to Los Angeles, California, which is full of twists and turns and some unexpected surprises. So stay tuned and listen in. We've got a great episode today. So, have you ever hosted your movie premiere? Well, I did. Let me tell you about it. So, we finished filming. I think in the last episode I talked about how we finished filming, and I went back to my normal life, and I think it was in like the beginning of the year, like in January we filmed, and then the premiere was in July. Since I was just a small little featured actor, featured dancer, I was not invited to the premiere. That's okay. I created my own. So at the time I was living in Logan, Utah, and this was the first big budget movie that I had ever done. And so, needless to say, I was pretty stoked about it. I was really excited. And so, when I found out the movie was going to be released in July, I called the local newspaper. Now, let me kind of back up really quick. I think at the time, like I had been working on some stuff, and there's a quote that I really love, and it's something to the effect as, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So ask. And that's just what I did. So I called up the local newspaper and I said, hey, I'm an actor. I was a featured dancer in Legally Blonde 2, and I'm holding my own premiere event at the movie theater, and I'd love you guys to show up and watch the movie with me and report on the event. We're a small town. It's a small, not really small. I think it's a college town. So it's not a huge town. It's not a huge city. You know what I mean? And so pieces like this kind of just fit right into the local fabric of life, and it's kind of different and kind of fun. And so I kind of knew that they'd bite, and they'd probably send a reporter and a photographer to cover it, just because it's not every day that you have one of your residents in a Hollywood production. And so anyway, so the night of the premiere came, and I was working at a carpet store. My brother-in-law owned a carpet store, and I had a big long piece of red carpet that I'd kind of salvaged from a home that was throwing it away. And so I had this carpet, and I'd put it outside my own house. So, and I lived in a trailer at the time. And so I'd always tell people, if you want me, I'm in my trailer. And then I set up the red carpet outside of my trailer. So as soon as I'd drive up in my Ford Explorer, I'd step out onto the red carpet and walk up to my trailer. So I kind of I'm just a silly person like that. So anyway, I'd set up the red carpet. We'd rolled it out, and and there I was. I pulled up. I think I took the song that we had used it in Legally Blonde, and I put that on the radio, and I drove up and in my Ford Explorer to the movie theater, and I stepped out and I waved to everyone. Now, the funny thing was is there wasn't there wasn't a whole lot of community involvement that showed up for this premiere. It turned out to be, luckily I have a large family, and they pulled out. They Luckily I have a large family, and they turned up and they really supported me in this. So there was, my brothers and sisters that were in the area and close by, and then all my nieces and nephews. So we probably had, maybe even some of their friends, we probably had 20, 30, 40 people that showed up to this movie premiere. Hello, hello. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. And so I'm just telling about the movie premiere that we hosted for Legally Blonde 2. So anyway, uh, I come up and I get out of the car and I wave to the crowd, and I walk the red carpet, and they take some pictures, and they interview me on the red carpet and take a few more pictures, and then we head on in the movie theater and watch the movie. Uh, this is probably the first time I've seen myself on the big screen, and it was a little weird, to be honest. Like, I felt a little embarrassed, I think, but I don't know, but it was just kind of funny. And I walked out, and I was just, you know, it was a really fun night. And we just had so much fun. Uh, and so the night finished, and then like the next day, they put this article in the newspaper, and it was so cute and so funny. And it talked about how, that in our small town of Logan, Utah, we had a movie star host a premiere party at the local movie theater. They described how I drove up in my Ford Explorer, and I stepped out onto the red carpet that we had that we had brought and put out. And he was like, the crowd looked like a lot of his friends and family. and not so much not so much of a huge crowd, but anyway, he went on, and he had it was a super cute article. I'll have to pull it up and let you guys read it. But super fun. It was a fun night. Anyway, so that was a fun night, and I'll tell you more about when they opened up a video store. I they asked me to they asked me to come in and set up a little spot as the local movie star and sign autographs. So I walked in, I set up, like, the movie premiere had been done in Japan, and so, like, I had a whole bunch of Japanese programs and whatnot, and then I also had, like, they'd given me stuff from the movie, like my tie and the pins and my badge. Like, I had those on display, and so I sat, and we got some pink balloons and set up copies of the movie. And I was asked, you could buy the movie, and I'd autograph the movie for you. So, oh, dude, the things that I do. Oh my gosh. So, yeah. So now I want now. So that was a lot of fun, and I've always had a lot of fun with this, and I always get kind of teased about the whole movie, and everybody always says, everyone's always kind of surprised and shocked. I told a coworker today that I was in this movie, and she was like, "What? I didn't know that." Like, it's kind of fun to shock people and tell people about this movie, because they're like, whoa, what? So it's really a lot of fun. So next time, I want you to tune in when I tell you about my move. my move to Los Angeles. Now, because of this whole premiere thing, my head maybe got a little too big for my britches, and I decided that it was time to move to Los Angeles and become a professional actor, and I was gonna make it in Hollywood. Now, so tune in next time, and I'll tell you all about it. See ya.